Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rocktown Producers and Black Voices Today Confidential Podcast. I am your host, Raquel Nasco, and I am honored and excited to be bringing another episode of this podcast to you. So, I hope that you all are staying safe as possible in this pandemic, that you are doing what you need to do to protect yourselves and your loved ones, everyone on the front lines, doctors, nurses, healthcare providers of every and all kinds. You're in my prayers. My thoughts are with you, praying for your protection and just for your mental health and well-being. It is a trying time. I have friends who are on the front lines, and even though I don't fully understand, I appreciate you and I empathize with you. And I hope we all just take into consideration that we're human beings and put on this earth, hopefully, to look out for one another. So just take care of yourselves and look out for someone you love, care about, and someone you don't know, just as human beings. All right, so let's get into today's podcast, which may be a little uncomfortable for some of us either to listen to or maybe even for me to get out. I hope not. It's a taboo subject even now. Talking about sex, sexuality, our different identities, how we see ourselves, our bodies. I'm a woman of a certain age is how I'll usually be presented in a magazine. That's our demographic. 48 years old, a black woman, single. I've never been married, so I'm of a certain age. I like to say seasoned, experienced. It's just interesting. It's so funny. If you're like me when you were younger, just imagining this age. Could you? Just seemed, I remember my mom had salt and pepper hair at 33 years old, and just thinking I had that far was so just not in my thought patterns, right? We just think that that's 48 seems old when you're younger, and it seems so out of reach. But I have discovered that 48, being over 40, is kind of liberating. No, it's not kind of. It's very liberating. It's freeing being this age and not being bound by that same filter or fear that used to grip me as a young woman, that same uncertainty. Now, don't get me wrong. I still have some things, some issues. There's some fluffy parts on this body, some things I'd like to change. Of course, I'd like to be the richest black woman in the world. That I wouldn't be opposed to that. That'd be fine. But this age has brought so much more than I expected. And I don't know if it's this pandemic or what, but I am feeling really kind of, for lack of a better word, fierce. I'm feeling sexy, sexual. I feel like I'm getting more in touch with who I am as a woman and as a person, being okay with the things that I like and I don't like. And yes, at 48 years old, I have finally found my spot. I have finally found that thing I think I've read about, heard other women talking about, maybe on talk shows or whatever, that it is a real thing. It exists. Now, I have been out of the dating game for years and years. I had my son when I was 24. I may have dated a little, but while he was little, but not much at all. Once he reached a certain age, I just devoted myself to raising him, and that's not a snub or a judgment on anybody. God bless everyone who has found someone as a single parent and it is healthy and you are happy and it is working and you have no regrets. But for me, I just made the choice raising my son to just devote my time to him because relationships take a lot of time and was working and I just wanted to make sure that he knew he was my main number one priority and I wanted to commit to raising him as a young black boy to a young black man to be all that he could be. It's a commercial. That's a slogan for one of these military outfits, right? I just wanted him to be successful, and I knew me putting in the time and effort was what was going to make that happen and not dividing my time. I know that probably created some gaps. He didn't get to see a healthy marriage, but I do believe that I showed him love and I showed him how to show love the way I show it, and then how to express love and not to be afraid to say I love you or not to be afraid to express it to people he really loved and cared about. So I think I've accomplished that. I know in a live chat that we did, I do a live chat and it's on Facebook. He was a guest in our millennial chat. And he did talk about, him learning to love himself as a young adult, which he has his own feelings about, just that I helped instill self-love. And that, made me emotional because that's a beautiful thing. And I'm like, oh, check that off the box. Yes, yes, yes. Because I didn't always have it myself. Self-love. I wasn't always crazy about myself. When I was younger, in my 20s, I started to fill out. I had this figure, kind of hourglass, sort of. Larger on the bottom, smaller on the top. Yeah, probably I had an onion, if that's what it was called back in the day. I had a butt on me, thighs, not much on top. And I enjoyed, before my son came along, a sex life. I was reasonably active when I had someone in my life that I cared about, was into. But after I had my son, all of that just stopped. And then I also, after going to church, becoming Christian and feeling the need to live my life a certain way. And I also didn't want the problems that sex can bring. Not just diseases, but all the emotional baggage it can bring, the ties that it can create that are so hard to break. Just didn't want to deal with it. And I also think I was just tired. I was like, I don't want to deal with a man right now. The only male I want in my life is my kid, because his father wasn't holding up his end of the bargain. And then I think along the way, I felt less desirable. I felt not pretty, I think. Sometimes those issues that we don't heal and get to can create that. We can feel less pretty, less desirable, and it makes it harder to be vulnerable and to expose that part of ourselves to anyone, including ourselves. And raising a kid and making sure he's, doing well in school, and he was in sports. We went to the museum, participated in different community activities. So, there was just a lot of time spent on family things and raising him. So I wasn't really looking or interested. But in my 40s, things, after he became a young adult, after he started living on his own, and doing things for himself, then I started doing things for myself. And just this year, I've really felt my sexiest. I have felt my most confident. So I have those areas of self-doubt, and sometimes things bother me that probably shouldn't. I feel literally like I'm Black Wonder Woman on the inside. Like, I posted this picture on Facebook of a muscle-bound, like hard, cut, sculpted Wonder Woman with dreadlocks on Facebook, and I'm like, this is how I feel on the inside, because it's true. That's how I feel. Like, I'm more proportion now. I got the butt and the boobs. I never had them growing up, and I'm like, OMG, I have cleavage. My cup is double. It's like, when I went to the store, to buy a new bra, and I got myself measured, and the girl told me what it was. I was like, what? And it made me spend $75 on a bra. I know what you're saying. People don't eat. Could have donated that, but just her saying that I was a double D made me go buy this really expensive bra, because I was like, yes, finally, I have them. Some days I just walk around adjusting them. Like, they're fine. I'm just enamored with them. I'm just like, they're there. I'm like, you're so pretty. These are so great. It is. I love feeling womanly. I love feeling sexy. I love when I look in the mirror and I'm thick, but I like it. And I like what I see when I look in the mirror. That's amazing to me. And I can look full on in the mirror at myself. There was a time, ladies, and gents too, if you're out there, because I know men deal with self-image and body issues just like we do. Maybe not the exact same, but I know that you do. So anybody out there who's experienced it, where I look in the mirror now and I see someone I like, I'm like, oh, you look cute today. Oh, that looks really good on you. Pretty. I love this lipstick on you. Look how these earrings make you pop. Look at your eyes. Look at your nose. Your magnificent design. God knew what he was doing. And not just in an arrogant, pompous way, like I think I'm just the greatest thing ever created. No. I like me. I like what I see in the mirror. That's so amazing. That's so brilliant. So transformative for me. You get there and you're like, yeah, I do. I do like what I see. I do like myself. And getting in touch again in a healthy way, in the right way, has been amazing. As a survivor of sexual assault, as a young woman sexually assaulted, I know I've regressed things from my childhood. As someone who lives with chronic illness, I have arthritis, like my right hip. I'm going to need a new one soon. I want to be setting off sensors and things. I'm fine with that. And a new knee. Like, this creaking sound is just not cute. There's a lot of pain there. I see the changes in my body that the arthritis has made. even through all of that, through the depression that can come with feeling like you'll never get better because there's no cure for arthritis, feeling like you'll just keep being in a cycle, that can make you not feel your best. That can make you feel not your best. That's a better sentence, right? It can make you feel not desirable, or it makes me not feel desirable. And when you've been assaulted, when someone's taken your choice or violated your body, definitely don't want to put your sexuality out there on display. For some can, because of what it does to you. We all manifest and handle trauma differently. For me, you just kind of, I think it closed that off a part of me. But now at 48, it's awakened again. That sexual side of me, which is a part of me, which I know is God-given. And I know I read a scripture once about knowing your own self before you get married. So knowing my own body, getting in touch with my own body on a spiritual level, on a sensual and sexual level, knowing who I am and embracing all the glory that is. So yeah, finally finding my spot, that it's a real thing and it's amazing. And whoever comes along, you're going to have to hit that spot. That feeling is amazing. Not just that physical, sexual spot, which is so, it's like flying. It's amazing. But that emotional spot, that heart spot, where I'm finding it, and where I'm coming to revelations about relationships, about friendships, about being an entrepreneur. I've found the spot too. I've hit that spot where I wake up excited with ideas flowing. I got to write them down. I got to put them in my phone. Or I go to bed, I'm like, ooh, I need to try this. Ooh, we need to do that. That excitement, that rush at 48 years old is amazing and almost indescribable. It's hard to put into words, but if you've experienced it, if you are experiencing it, if you are an empty nester and you're starting to feel these yearnings, these urges in you, you're starting to feel bolder. Like, maybe I could conquer this world. Maybe I could conquer all of these things that have hindered me. Now is the time to get them up and out so I can be healed and recovered and move on to the next thing. When you hit that spot, that's amazing. And hitting that spot, physically, sexual, that makes your body react and respond in amazing ways. Embracing all of it. Finding no shame in your own body, in your own build, in your own makeup. Looking in the mirror and seeing something that brings you joy, that makes you proud, that makes you walk with your head high. Stick out your chest a little bit. You're walking a little bit different. It's an amazing place to be at almost 50. Now, when you break it down and think about it, you're like, you're almost half a century years old. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. When you hit that spot, when you find that sweet spot, and being alone, when it's not scary like it was when you were younger, maybe if you weren't a complete introvert. When you're like, I'm not hanging out with people. What? When you find that sweet spot of enjoying your own company, of reading a good book or listening to a good book. God bless you, Audible. It's so awesome to be able to listen to a book while you're working or at home on your couch. And to read a book still, to have both options, to be able to do both. When you find that sweet spot of being a single mom to a young man, a beautiful young black man like mine, who wants to do it for himself, who wants to try these things for himself, who wants to stand on his own 2 feet, to watch him become a thoughtful, introspective, but still gregarious and vivacious person is a sweet spot. You're like, I got something right there. So what's your sweet spot? Have you found it? Have you found your spot? Have you discovered it? Have you discovered the pleasure in yourself? And the things around you, as chaotic as they have become, found something sweet, found a spot that you didn't even know was there, just happened upon it. That's what happens when you start pleasing yourself, when you stop looking outside of yourself for it. You start to embrace, support, encourage, look out for yourself. You find that spot. It is amazing. And it is something that we need to talk about as far as our spot sexually. And we'll talk about just embracing our bodies and ourselves. And then we're also going to have an episode where we'll talk about sexuality and how we can be over-sexualized and disparities and things. But this one today is about the sweet spot of who we are. Sensual people, sensual women, men, creatures, where our bodies hold untold treasures we've yet to discover. I hope you find your sweet spot. I hope you find your spot. I hope you discover hidden treasures. Uncharted waters and territories. I hope you find your spot, and I hope you savor and bask in it, rejoice in it, all its glory and splendor. Until next time.